Most people don't stop putting themselves out there because they think they have nothing to gain. They actually stop because they think they have everything to lose. Maybe you've thought, what if they reject me? What if this changes how someone sees me? What if I ruin something before it even has a chance to start? So instead, you stay quiet, you hold back, you don't say anything, and you don't go after what you truly want. And this feels like you're protecting yourself, but the truth is, you're not protecting yourself at all. What you're actually doing is hurting yourself in the long run, because every time you choose to hide, choose not to put yourself out there and not to take any chances, you're not avoiding loss, you're choosing it. And that choice makes you lose out on connection, opportunities, and experiences that could completely change your life. And the craziest part is that you'll never know what could have happened because you never gave it a chance. So today, I want to talk about why staying hidden can cost you everything, how fear is helping you make choices you may regret, and what happens when you finally stop holding yourself back and you take a leap of faith by putting yourself out there anyway. Hi, I'm Dupree, and I help people to navigate life with herpes. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had a moment where you wanted to go up and talk to someone and then you stopped yourself because your mind starts racing with thoughts like, what's the point? If this goes anywhere, it's just going to end anyway. Once I tell them, they're not going to want me. And just like that, the moment is gone. In that moment, it's not just about hesitation. It's a decision that you make before anything even has a chance to begin. Not because you don't want connection, but because you've already decided how everything is going to play out. And the more this happens, the more it starts shaping your life. Not all at once, but in the small choices you make every day. What you go after, what you avoid, and what you don't ever allow to happen. So in this episode, we're going to look at what's actually happening in those pivotal moments and what needs to change so that you can stop letting those thoughts make decisions for you in order to start putting yourself out there again. Now, let's unpack what's happening when you pull back, because you don't feel like you're doing anything wrong, but instead, you feel like you're doing everything right. Like you're thinking ahead and protecting yourself from something that could hurt you. Because fear doesn't show up and say, hey, I'm about to hold you back from your life. Fear shows up as logic. It sounds something like, this isn't worth it. Why even go there? I already know how this is going to end. And when your mind starts going down that rabbit hole, it just feels like you're being honest with yourself, right? But what's actually going on is that you're making a decision based on something that hasn't even happened yet. And more importantly, you're reacting to an outcome that only exists in your head. And because of that, you never give reality a chance to prove you wrong. And you never get to see how anything can turn out. Over time, this starts to create a pattern where your life isn't being shaped by what's actually happening, but instead, it's being shaped by what you think may happen. And this way of thinking plays a big role in determining how your life turns out, because now fear isn't just something you feel, it's something you start listening to. And eventually it becomes the thing that's making all the decisions for you. When you allow fear to dictate your decisions, you then become fixated on what you may lose if you put yourself out there. But let me ask you this. What are you losing by not doing it? I really want you to think about that for a moment. Every time you talk yourself out of something, every time you decide it's not worth it, every time you assume how it's going to go even before it begins, you're closing the door before it ever had a chance to come into being. You deny yourself the ability to see what could have happened. If they would have liked you and wanted to be with you no matter what. If it could have turned into something real. I mean, for all you know, the person you're talking to can be in the same boat that you're in. But the minute you allow your fears and insecurities to get in the way, the possibility of any of that is gone. Not because of your diagnosis, but because of the decision you made in that moment to go into hiding. I'm going to share my own story as an example. My now boyfriend and I started off as friends. And at that time in our relationship, my mind kept saying, don't ever tell him about your condition because you'll ruin your friendship. Or he doesn't need to know anyway, so why bother? But during one of our conversations, I mentioned to him that I was working on something very personal and important to me. And of course, he wanted to know what it was. At the time, I wasn't ready to reveal to anyone other than my best friend that I was working on herpes wellness. But as time went on, our feelings grew for one another, so I knew I had to tell him. And I was so scared about how I thought he would react that I almost pushed him away because I felt that would be easier than telling him about my condition. But he was persistent. He didn't allow that to happen, and he kept asking me what I was working on. So one night, we were hanging out, and I told him I was ready to show him what I was doing. Let me tell you, my heart was beating out of my chest. I felt a huge pit in my stomach, and my mind was racing with every possible worst-case scenario. And I don't care how many times you've told someone you have herpes, it always feels scary because you never know what kind of reaction you're going to get. Then there was a moment that I hesitated and I thought to myself, I must be crazy, and I almost changed my mind. He even asked me if I was sure, and I was like, yep. So while he waited in the kitchen, I went to my office and I grabbed my laptop, and when I returned, I placed it on the counter and I opened it up. I said, well, this is it. I want you to take a really good look at what I'm working on. And then crickets. I mean, you could literally hear a pin drop. But I knew that the best thing was to get quiet and not say another word and let the moment speak for itself. And then he tells me he has to go to the bathroom. And as he's walking away, I'm thinking, is he really going to the bathroom, or is he going to ditch me? My mind started spiraling with so many what ifs. And then I had to say to myself, stop, and started to take slow, deep breaths to relax. I put it out there, and now I had to wait to see what would happen next. I knew I couldn't control how he was going to react, but I could control how I'd respond. And one thing I knew for certain, no matter what happened, I'd be okay. And then after what felt like forever, he finally returned from the bathroom and said to me, I think what you're doing is beautiful. How can I help? Then a couple of months went by, our relationship continued to grow, and we started dating. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I want you to think about what would have happened if I didn't tell him. If I didn't put my fear aside, didn't get up the courage, and didn't take a chance to be vulnerable, we wouldn't be together today. Like I mentioned, I almost made the decision to push him away, and I'd hate for you to make the same mistake. Is opening up to someone scary? Hell, yeah, it is. No one wants to hear the word no or feel like they're being judged or looked at differently because of their diagnosis. But what's on the line is so much greater than that. It's not just a moment or a conversation. It's your future we're talking about here. And how will you ever know what's possible if you keep holding yourself back? Now, let's talk about courage for a moment. What it is and what it isn't. Courage isn't about feeling ready. It's not about feeling confident. And it's definitely not about being fearless. Courage is the moment right before you do the thing you're scared to do. When your heart is racing and everything in your mind is telling you to stop, but you do it anyway. Most people wait to feel comfortable before they act. But every time you choose comfort over courage, You remain in a place that's familiar, predictable, and where nothing ever changes. But the life you actually want, that's on the other side of the moment you keep avoiding. You're not going to find connection or love by holding back and staying in your comfort zone. You're going to find it because you had the guts to put comfort aside and decided, I'm doing this. Courage isn't about trying to control the outcome. It's about saying, I don't know how this is going to go, but no matter what happens, I've got this. Can someone still say no to you? Yeah, sure. But that's also the possibility that they won't, and you'll never know if you don't take that chance. And here's something I learned. Every time you look fear in the face, every time you have the courage to move forward, the more confidence you build because you had the nerve to show up for yourself. And the more confidence you build, the less rejection or other people's opinions affect you. You stop allowing those things to define your worth. And once that happens, you tell people about your diagnosis with confidence because you're no longer concerned with someone staying or going. You just let the chips fall where they may. But courage just isn't about taking action. It's an energy you carry, and that energy dictates how you show up in the world. When you choose courage, you start creating a new reality. One that's not based on fear or limitation, but on confidence, truth, and freedom. It's about taking your power back. It's about deciding that your diagnosis doesn't get to define who you are or what kind of love you get to have. You do. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't subscribed yet, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on audio, be sure to do that so you don't miss future episodes. Also, if you're tired of navigating your condition alone, come join us at Herpes Wellness. Membership gives you access to a private online community with forums and chat rooms where you can make friends and even find love. Plus, it includes monthly virtual meetings with me where you can ask questions and get support from other people who truly get what you're going through. If you want support on the go, then you can download the Herpes Wellness app, available in both the App Store and in Google Play. The links to our website and the app are in the description. And if you're concerned about privacy, we've got you totally covered. The app icon and push notifications say H Wellness. So if someone happens to see your screen, you won't disclose your status unintentionally. And if you're enjoying the podcast or if you have something you'd like to share, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you the next time on the Herpes Wellness Podcast. Bye for now.